Everyone, and welcome to our Community Development Committee meeting, the first one of the year. And I'm still going to say Happy New Year, even though I was told that it's improper to do so after the 14th. I like breaking rules, so we're not going to go forward with that. The first thing that I also want to invite, I'm happy to have, he's in orientation today. Our new council person and new future member of the committee. This is orientation for him today, Mr. Tyler Bailey. And so we're glad to have you. I'll let you know if you can talk. We'll see. But this should be a fun one, and I think we're going to get some great information today.
Sounds good.
Will, you got anything to add to that?
No, Madam Chairwoman.
Ms. Moore, can we note for the record that we have Mr. Brennan and myself here, as well as orientation for Mr. Bailey?
Absolutely, thank you.
All righty, so the first thing that we have on our agenda today, and I'm super excited about this, is Homeworks of America. For those of you all who don't know, we used to fund Homeworks back in, I always say back in my day, maybe $25,000 to do the work that they do. And I wanted to present this info to everyone because when I saw the information, I was absolutely amazed. And I believe that they could be a great partner, Ms. Gentry, for redeveloping a lot of our communities and at a really low price point, which I think folks will appreciate. So I am going to invite up Mr. Joe Huggins. And you go to the mic so that you can be heard.
Okay.
Is that something for us?
Just some paraphernalia we can pass out, if that's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Brandon.
Now, we are all nice around the table except you. So don't be nervous.
There we go. Are we ready?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody, and good morning. And thank you again for hosting us here. And I want to thank Ms. Tina Herbert, who has become a quick, fast, dear friend of mine, and certainly a longtime friend of Homeworks. And so we're very thankful. And so rest of the council, good morning, and thank you for having us. Once again, I am Joe Huggins, Executive Director of Homeworks of America. I have with me Ms. Madeline Smith. She is our Operations Director at Homeworks, as well as our HealthWorks Coordinator, one of the programs we have inside. Off the bat, Homeworks.
Did you say the clicker might be opposite? Yeah. Let's see.
We're rolling.
There we go. There we go.
Our mission is to show God's love through serving those in need by repairing their homes, assisting youth in their development, and empowering communities to care for their own. I'm a big believer that mission statements need a translation into English. So we provide free home repairs to elderly, disabled, and veteran homeowners who qualify. We use student volunteers. I don't want to get hung up on that. We work with anyone that's willing to come serve with us. So adults, whoever it may be, our passion is students, high school, middle school, high school, and college kids that will come serve along with us. We're more recovery-based than disaster response. Obviously, if something bad happens, we want to get there and help. But our mantra is 5 and 6 years later after the flood. We're still working on flood homes currently as we speak. So we are recovery-based. Moving along, we have a 4-pronged approach, kind of our 4 pillars or our business approaches there. One of them is health. We're looking at homes now to see what is making folks unhealthy in their home, whether it be air quality or trip hazards or getting in and out of their home. Affordable housing is something we want to focus on today, obviously. Also, workforce development. We're working with students right now as we speak, teaching them trades such as carpentry. The rest of the week, we're going to be working on 2 homes in the city. With students there with plumbing, electrical, painting, and that kind of stuff. And so if we can get them interested in the trades, we hope that that'll get them excited about workforce development here in the future. Our DNA is the gospel. We want to love people where they are. I tell folks we're not a faith-based organization. We're Christ-centered. Everybody in this room has faith in gravity. Doesn't change the way we look at people. Our DNA, that's what we try to do. But obviously, we're here to talk about affordable housing and what we can bring there. We want to get homes warm, safe, dry, and healthy. We do a lot of roof replacements. Our founder 27 years ago said if we could get folks dry, that's half the battle. Weatherization, safety, and fall protection. When I first came to Homeworks 7 years ago, we were replacing a deck on a lady's mobile home, and I was kind of thinking, what's the big deal about a deck? Well, when you have a meeting with Prisma and their ambulatory care, and if first responders cannot get in the home to get a heart attack victim out, that's a very big deal. And so we focus a lot on egress in and out of the home. We do a lot of painting. As I said, we work with middle schoolers, and we hope more paint gets on the home than on the ground or them before they go home during the day. We also do a lot of bath and kitchen retrofits. We have a lot of volunteers that work with us that are 2 and 3 person teams that we can send in and retrofit bathrooms, not only for mobility, but we know where there's water in the home, there's a leak. Where there's a leak, there's rot. And so we want to replace those floors and get them safe so they're able to use. Matter of fact, we're working on a bathroom right now that the lady hasn't been able to use for the last 2 to 3 years. And so getting her a bathroom into her home is going to be a life changer, obviously, for her. Fast facts, our repairs usually cost $500 to $7,500 all in per home. With volunteerism, we can keep prices down. It's pretty much materials, and then we take advantage of that volunteer service labor to get the work done. Average, we're about 120 homes a year throughout South Carolina. Most of those are located in the Midlands. I'm proud to say that in 2023, we repaired 65 homes in the Midlands. Since 2017, 221 in the city of Columbia proper. So we're here. We've always been here and look to work close to home. We have a waiting list of about 100 to 150 folks that are approved and ready to go. So there's a huge need out there. Our office averages about 20 to 25 calls a day for folks seeking help. So the need is there. And what we're here to do, I guess scientifically or technically, is we want to extend the life cycle of that home. Columbia, South Carolina is full of well-built homes that are from the post-war boom, 50s, 60s, and 70s, that are just well-built, good bones. But like anything, wood rots, and roofs have to be replaced. And so if we can go in and extend the life of that home anywhere from 7.5 to 15 to 20 years, that is a win for everybody, especially our homeowner. Our requirements, our board-approved eligibility is home ownership. We're not going to be able to do anything that's landlord or rental type. And we want to take care of those that are on the low income to very low income with the HUD guidelines. We also look at family situation. We want to be good stewards of donated dollars. So if you have folks that are helping from the outside, or if you have the ability to go get work, we want to help those citizens of Columbia that are elderly, that are disabled, and they can't. And so we want to take care of them, especially first. Our handshake agreement is you've been there at least 5 years before we get there, and you'll be there 5 years after we leave. We don't want to get into a situation where we're fixing up a home for someone to sell. But this is usually not a problem because either a husband or a father built the home that they're living in, and they're not gonna leave. And then we're starting to look at health criteria as well. Not emergent, but if we have a home that comes across that they need a ramp, that they need a deck to get in and out, we're going to prioritize those for safety, health and safety reasons. Like I said, I stole my own thunder. Since 2017, we have repaired 221 homes in the city of Columbia, and we want to look to increase that. An average of anywhere from 30 to 40 a year. We want to take that to 100. We want to move the needle, and that's what we're about. Just want to let you know we've got a very experienced team. We've got the capability and the horsepower to do this. Chris Kemp is a dedicated construction manager organizing all of these homes and the scope of work. And here recently, we were able to add Mr. Roy Kramer, who retired from Habitat of the Midlands, gives us an all-time quarterback on every one of these homes. So we're not just throwing volunteers out there to try to get something done. We have over 40 years of carpentry and building experience to get quality work done. Volunteer depth, our volunteers are traditional. They've come from all over, and we are never out of room for volunteers. But like I said, we will work with anyone that comes along our way. One of the things I wanted to bring to your attention is the many contractor relationships we have with contractors here in Columbia, that when we run into a problem that's a little bit more than a college kid, they can come in and help us. And they love to give back. And we have several homes a year that local contractors just say, Joey, I got it. Just give me the address and we'll go do this. So Columbia has a big heart. We have a great heart. And we love to take advantage of that. Wanted to let you know, we never want to lose our nonprofit family feel of what we do, but we do have a track record of program experience. We're on year 6 of Charleston County CDBG, which has averaged about $150,000 a year. That limit is on them. It's not on us. We could handle more. We're on phase 3 of Charleston County ARPA to the tune of about $130,000 a year down there. We're on year 5 of Richland County CDBG, and that's growing. And then for also big program experience, we went to Florence County, met with the Darla Moore Foundation. She gave us a 3-year contract to do 83 homes. We did 96. Ms. Moore typically doesn't go after year 3, but we're on year 6 with her, and hopefully year 7 when we hear that. So if we could please her, I think we could please anybody, but I just said that on air. Anyway, all right. A bold vision. We would love to do 100 homes annually here in Columbia at about an average of $5,000. So we're looking to put together a program of about $500,000 to go move the needle. It's bold for us, but I think we can do it. And we would really love the help of the city in any way to be able to help our citizens. What's driving this not only is the vision of Ms. Tina, but I heard the mayor say in one of her meetings that in the next season, we're going to need around 16,000 housing units in Columbia. HomeWorks is not going to solve that problem. It's got to be done, like the mayor said, through development, through government, through private development, but also I think we can bring something to the table to extend the life of affordable housing that we already have. The cheapest house is the one that's never built. And I think we can be a part of that solution. So thank you all very much. And we return on investment, extension of the structure life. We mitigate the health and safety issues, weatherizing homes, and the 100 homes that we could do is probably an estimated of savings of $9 million in wraparound costs.
Can you, before we open the floor for questions, video?
Certainly. If you want to run the video, we would love to.
I love the video, I'm sorry. No, you're gonna love the video.
There's a house done right off of Millwood, so that's whose house is it?
Oh, Peter should be here. Peter was just talking about Millwood and Gervais.
This is Page Street.
Through our church, there was an opportunity to put a roof on someone's house, and I was more than happy and wanted to jump on that. So I enjoyed what I got to do and being able to use my hands, being able to work in the community, and being able to bless homeowners that were in need. I definitely saw the opportunity and I wanted to just be a part of it. I enjoy it and thankful that I get to do it. From the start, I mean, you get a pretty good idea of what you're going into. You're not going in blind and misunderstanding what the work's going to be. We came in and we worked on her roof the day that I was here. We worked on her soffit and her fascia, and we did the repairs underneath in the knee wall, up in the roof, and we were able to get that squared away and sealed off and waterproofed and all that good stuff, so she wouldn't have to worry about it.
Well, me and my friends talked about maybe signing up together, and we just signed up online, and we were in the same group, so we all worked on the same house and site together. So I was looking forward to trying some new skills and learning how to do some things to repair houses. I think Homeworks is a really great way to connect like younger people with the older people that we don't really interact with on a daily basis, and we can just see how, like, even though we may not even know them, we can help out and we can serve a purpose in their life that really means a lot to them.
I was married for about 27 years before I got divorced. And then I moved in my own apartment on Broad River Road. And after that, I moved in a few other places. And my father passed away, and I moved up here on Page Street with my mom. I moved in this side, and my mom was on this side, 1101, and I was 1101 and a half. So I stayed with her until she ended up passing away with Alzheimer's and heart trouble. So once she moved in the nursing home, and I still stayed here. So then I had the whole house to myself. So after that, then the house, of course, needed some work. So when I talked to my brother and my sister and different family members, but of course nobody could help because nobody had that kind of money. Because my parents took care of this house when they was alive, my mom and my dad. But once I moved in, I didn't have the finances to do all the stuff that needed to be done. So I had 3 leaks. I got 1 leak fixed, and then the other 2 leaks didn't get fixed until Homeworks got here. And then I had some things up on the roof, shingles. I had some shingles left over, and they ended up using my shingles. And they fixed the whole thing where I had leaks and where leaks was beginning to start that I didn't know about. But they found them on the roof. So they fixed that. So I only found out about Homeworks when one of my insurance people who got me into insurance, they called and told Homeworks about me. And I was so grateful because I had done everything else I could do and I couldn't get no help. So I was so grateful for Homeworks. Oh, I feel a lot better. A whole lot better. A whole 150% better than I did before. And I always tell people about Homeworks. I'm just always bragging on this house.
So I'm gonna hold my questions maybe. Well, no. So this is very important to us from a city perspective. Because when was the last time y'all were funded?
I want to say it was 2017, 18, I want to say. I have to go back and look, Ms. Tina.
Okay. But if you are considered underfunding, what does it require of the city? What does that arrangement look like I'm to tell you the truth, I don't remember from back in the day. We just cut checks.
I think our original arrangement was just a grant that we applied for. And so we took that and that purchased materials for us to be able to do what we do. So a majority of ours is going to be building materials and the equipment needed to get work done.
And that was probably a CDBG grant?
I think it was,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I mean, we'd love to follow up and have a conversation about the opportunity.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I think that this would be, from our trip last week, a good line item with targeted areas, and not the 7 targeted areas we have, but narrowing that to really have an impact. And we know that if you can put all the resources in one space and be patient, and that's the problem, because everybody wants it, it's hard. But if we can have a strategy year by year in a particular area and allow people to actually see the change, then I think folks get to see the difference. And I think that's, I always go back to the facade program, how you could see the difference downtown because it was condensed, but you couldn't see it on North Main Street because it was 8 miles. So now I will let you all, but I guess just for clarity, the city staff doesn't do anything.
No, ma'am.
We're not responsible for anything, no paperwork. We don't have to help you find contractors. We don't have to inspect to make sure you checked all the boxes.
No, ma'am, we do that anyway.
And y'all are familiar with CDBG compliance, so, I mean, they'll have to turn in information, so we've
Right.
got to check compliance, but
Yeah, they've been doing it
again,
for years.
well-established organization. Do you remember Frank Strange? So he's
know
a
that.
former colleague of ours that used to volunteer with y'all for many, many years. I think he's passed away now, hasn't he? So I have always heard great things about Homeworks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Couple questions if I might. How are you? So you mentioned other counties, I think. I don't know if it's the city of Charleston, you said Charleston, Christian County, I don't remember the others, and the amounts that you indicated. And then on another slide, it had like $5,000 per home. So on average, I have a couple questions. On average, is that the amount that you typically spend per home for the type repairs and you keep it at that? And my other question is, have you ever gotten direct allocations of funding from the state?
From the state, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Is there anything prohibiting you using state
No,
funds?
ma'am.
Okay. And then the other question about, on average, how much you spend?
That's on average about $500 to $7,500. It depends on scope of work. In the CDBG contracts, I will tell you the amounts are a little bit more because we can do more with that funding. And so sometimes those costs range anywhere from $9,000 to $13,000, depending on if it's a roof replacement, if it's plumbing. We're allowed to get into a little bit more with, say, termite damage and that kind of stuff. But on a typical home that's a typical donation, we try to keep it at that 5,000 because we have so many. And so,
Correct. So in your experience, when you are partnering with other entities or cities, you go into it with the homeowners knowing that it is a defined amount
yes, ma'am.
of work that could be done so that you can help, as many people as you can.
Yes, ma'am.
I think
Anyway,
that
Ms.
is
Wilson.
where one of,
But on a longer lap, we don't have anything to do with that, right? Like, do you determine what that contract is, or are they hearing from us what you're gonna work on along those lines?
We determine that. Typically, we've determined that.
right. So when you work with the other municipalities or counties, are you working with their departments when you get the CDBG funds and you're determining what that targeted area you may be working in? The city or the county is not involved with that determination of where you're going to be working?
No, ma'am.
either?
No,
Right.
ma'am.
So I think, again, those are things we need to be clear about because our programs have typically, which is why I think our programs are getting a little bit out of our capacity of what we can do and do well. I love this concept, but I think those are the things we're gonna have to be clear about. Because right now, for example, the city has done, we have like a SHINE program. And I totally agree with what you're saying, but we're going into it saying we're gonna do much more than $5,000 a home. And to me, the money could be better utilized by partnering with entities like you where there are parameters around it.
And I think too, these projects to me are probably smaller than our Shine projects, dollar wise.
And there's no labor cost because it's volunteer labor, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
It was something Teresa.
How do
said.
applicants get to you? So if we had a pool of folks that have applied for funding but we're not serving, is that a conversation y'all are willing to have with us as well?
Yes, ma'am. We do have a waiting list, but we would.
You know how many years your waiting list?
About a year and 3 months right now.
Okay.
But if we gave funds designated to specific applicants in specific areas,
We
how
can-
does that impact your waiting list? The people who fit from your waiting list in that,
Well, it would just be it would be a conscience decision on our part that we've had folks waiting, but we've got funding coming in that could be allocated to folks that are on a separate list. And I mean,
well, so would it be fair to say that it would be most beneficial for you all if you had restricted funds, but then you also had funds to deal with your backlog
That would be
that
incredible.
you can use your
Yes.
own discretion for.
And Felicia and I will set up a meeting with you to talk in more detail for sure.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
want to ask a question, I'm sure.
Yes, Councilman Brennan.
So can you, it's a great presentation, y'all do great work, Joe. Joe came to our Main Street Rotary, and I think tugged at a few heartstrings there, hopefully get some volunteers out of that. The expectations in the scope of work. Can you dive into that a little bit more on how you make it clear to a homeowner that you come into work for, this is what we can do? And can you give us an example of where that's kind of gone off tracks? And how you
How many
remediated that?
examples would you want?
Well, but that's where
Yeah.
our anxiety and stress is after
Yeah.
going through, what we did with working on houses after the flood.
To be honest with you, it's not too terribly often that happens because we try to have the clearest and upfront communication. Chris Kemp, our Midlands construction manager, touches every home. He does previews. He has those conversations, and we're able to explain that we are volunteers, we are donated dollars, and we're going to look to get you warm, safe, dry, and healthy. So Chris, when he goes into that home, is looking at the issues that are making you sick, that are making this house dangerous, and we're trying to weatherize it. So, on my circuit, my joke is we're not chipping Joanna Gaines, okay? We're not going to make house beautiful, but we're going to make house safe, and we're going to extend the life of that. And I would say 95% of the people that we're blessed to work with, they understand that.
But to your same point there, 95% of the people you work with probably could use more,
Oh, certainly.
whether it's electrical, you mentioned plumbing, you
Yeah.
don't tackle electrical probably.
I'm scared of things that are invisible and can kill me.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So when it comes to health, let's talk about environmental abatement. I mean, you're doing a lot of painting. How do you, because that's expensive.
Yes.
That's very expensive. Do you have to pick and choose to what level of, say, painting?
Yes.
Most likely sanding on the outside.
Scraping and
kind of-
sanding, yeah.
Yeah.
So we
avoid
try
interior
to
work.
encapsulate and mitigate where we can. And so, and our guys are trained, they know, Tuck Williams, our construction manager in Charleston, works very close with their staff down there. And we know, what fields to step in and what not to. And we try to mitigate that. And I think our vision of what safety means helps us mitigate those big problems. We're looking for fall protection. We're looking for floor replacement. And that kind of keeps us in our lane.
Okay. I think as we move forward in these conversations with staff, let's just keep that in mind.
Certainly.
We're clearly defining expectations.
Yes.
And scopes.
Yes, we have.
Because you know who hears about it.
What, and that's what I was gonna ask about how often, out of 100 homes, how often do you have to go back out and redo work in the next year after the work? The next 6 months, I give you 6 months.
6 months out of 100 homes, maybe one. And that's usually a roof.
And that's because in those situations, it's, the way that I hear you saying it is because it really was an issue with the roof.
Yes, ma'am.
Not because someone complained about, they didn't like how the roof was put in or quality issues or anything like that.
No, ma'am.
Now, you mentioned Richland County CDBG. How much is Richland County giving you?
This year, we received $60,000. So we're currently working on that contract right now.
Anybody have any other questions? Well, thank you so much. I'm glad to have you all here, and hopefully we can do some follow-up and see where we're going. We're doing a lot of figuring out with where we're going with community development. So this is an exciting time. Exciting
ma'am.
time. Thank you so much. No other questions?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tina. Thank
you're
y'all
welcome.
very much.
You got the clicker?
Oh, no, don't give it to me. They don't let me
Wrong
hold
desk
anything.
for that.
Yeah. Don't give me anything. All right, now we're going to talk with Miss Missy Gentry and Krista Hampton, discussing the Columbia Town and Gown Committee.
Do you want to start?
So we have, talked about town and gown for a while, and we have brought back, based on the last conversation we had with the committee, we have brought back an updated proposal to talk about town and gown that Krista will go over, and we can answer any questions. And there's also a draft letter that would be sent to all of the colleges and universities, seeking their participation and making sure that they want to be a part of it. But I'll let Krista go over the draft, the updated proposal.
Yes, good morning. We'll walk through this. Let me know if you need to go slower. And a lot of credit goes to Peyton Lang too for putting this together, and thanks to our university partners too. Rebecca Vestas here representing them. So it will be 20 representatives from all of the colleges and universities in the area. So 7, hopefully with the president or their designee. 5 being City of Columbia staff representatives. Those folks will act in an ex officio capacity only, so no voting. 4 neighborhood representatives, and those would be selected. Those would go through an application process similar to our boards and commissions. And so City Council would appoint 4 neighborhood representatives and one of the hospitality sector representatives through that process. You'd have 1 student from the Mayor's Council, the Collegiate Engagement Council representative, and that would, the students would actually lift that person up and appoint them to this group. And then the co-chairs would be the mayor and a representative from the University of South Carolina. Once that group is formed, then there would be subcommittees established, and that would be, these are the ones that we've discussed with you all that would be recommended, although those could change. It's similar to an ad hoc committee. What we would recommend is that once this group is formed, that they establish that they have a strategic planning session first. So that you would have that probably February, March, more likely. Get together, decide what the vision and the goal of the group is. I mean, we have an idea. I think you all have given some feedback on that, but I think that would be important for the group to establish through a strategic planning process. And then they would meet 3 times a year, with the subcommittees doing a lot of the work in between times and reporting out. We also recommend that there be a group that goes to the International Town Gown Association Conference that is in Maryland in June, the beginning of June, and have as many of the representatives from the various colleges in the city to attend that as well. So that's a high-level overview. Happy to answer any questions and get feedback.
Krista, can you give us some examples of what the planning subcommittee would take on?
It could take on things like parking or really any of the land use items that come up in some of these areas as well. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, it could be issue-based, it could be such as something that bubbles up that needs to be addressed, or it could be looking forward thinking. How is the universities growing? What is the student population? Where are they living? Those types of things.
Gotcha, thank you.
Now, this may be, I don't know if I'm taking us back or not, but I do remember us having a significant conversation about flagship universities. Are we not going that route at all? Or is this something separate? And I'm okay, I mean,
You mean flagship only?
well, so what I learned during our last meeting was that this program initially came out, it was designed for flagship universities. Is that what I learned?
So the
No?
association, yes, I mean, it was
Okay.
a flagship university. The direction we believe we received was we still want to be all-inclusive. Not many cities have the number of colleges and universities we have. So we wanted to be inclusive of everyone. The mayor and then the designee from the University of South Carolina would be the co-chairs.
Okay.
So they would help guide that, but our intent was to include all. As we talked to the association, they're neutral to that decision. I mean, it's really our decision. We develop our strategic plan, we do our charter. They don't have a right or wrong. They just help guide you through a process. They're more of a resource than a official, stamp of approval.
And really, a lot of it is about communication and just making sure that that's going on. And the types of, issues that are experienced by University of South Carolina are experienced to a lesser degree, but by some of our other colleges and universities as well. So I think it's just making sure that everybody's talking and communicating.
And there could certainly be subcommittees about a particular issue that might focus on one college or university rather than the other, if there's a particular challenge or issue that needs to be discussed.
Thank you. I just needed that clarity.
I do think though, the letter references a registration process with ITGA. So to Councilwoman Herbert's point, when discussed with the association, and I know we got into, it's been a minute, we got into the various levels of membership or something of that nature. So is that going to be, I know they were pretty much neutral, but I don't know that for me, it was totally the clearest how that will go. So that, being that we'll have all of the different colleges represented, then they're gonna work with us then, wasn't it something about the amount that they would be charged?
The membership for the city and the University of South Carolina will be a higher cost than the other colleges and universities. And the draft letter is intended to just ask them all if they're interested in participating. And then from there, we'll talk through membership and what that looks like. And if any college or university needed help, if the membership cost was the barrier, we want to have that conversation with them.
But they all have to be
They all would need to be
registered.
members, yes, ma'am.
Members.
And do y'all have any idea of what the registration fee would be?
It's like $250
Yeah,
a year.
it shouldn't be a barrier, but if it is, we want to talk about how to help with that.
For those more associate members is I think how it almost seemed as if it was
It was
characterized.
Higher for the university,
Yes, it
wasn't
was,
it?
yes.
We've been doing that, like splitting the cost over the years.
What, the 5 City of Columbia that's advisory, an advisory level to this. Can we add a representative from the Comet? Because I think transportation is so key in promoting transportation to the university students. And I think USC is a large contract provider to the Comet as well.
Cab connector?
Mhm.
So as one of the.
As an
one of the
advisory
exits.
board, yeah. And I guess Columbia CPD will bring in the sheriff's department as needed, since some of these campuses lie in the county. That's just to think about down the road.
Now, I'm curious about the neighborhood reps. If we're identifying 4, is the intent that you would have a neighborhood rep on every committee or no?
So the subcommittees could
The subcommittees.
have additional members that aren't part of the larger committee. But yeah, I would think at least one neighborhood rep would need to be on every subcommittee.
Oh, and they could do multiple.
Well, you can have additional members that aren't on the large town gown steering committee. So you could bring in extra people depending on the issue.
And they would be called what?
It would be up to that subcommittee to organize itself. But they don't have to pull just from this group.
That's what I needed. Okay, so they can go, the subcommittees can look anywhere for the appropriate people. That's how you understood it too.
Sounds great. All right, so when can we get the letters out, start recruiting? You said February, March? With a strategic planning session, when would you think?
Just trying to organize the group, so it'll be a lot of calendar work.
Chairman, may I make a comment?
If you do, you have to come to the microphone.
And what is it regarding? I have to make sure, is it on topic?
Committee members, I'm Jim Daniel. Two quick comments. 20-member committee is pretty cumbersome, so it's going to be really important that we have subcommittees that are willing to work. Secondly, on the neighborhood representations, how are y'all going to get the word out so folks that have some interest will know who to submit an application to and by when?
I think we'll do that through public relations, the way we do it with all of our other committees.
Okay, because I know of several people that have expressed interest to me that they would like to be involved, so.
It'd probably be treated through Ashley's efforts, like the other boards and commissions and.
Unless you're in the know, quite frankly, it's hard really to know what that information. And the Council of Neighborhoods, their information about who's presidents of various neighborhoods is way out of date. So they're somewhat difficult too. But anyway, I'll let people that have said something to me know that if they need to check. But when would you think you'd be sending out some kind of notice about that?
Within, next 3 weeks or so?
Sometime in January, early February. Okay, great. Thank you.
I just keep forgetting to say it. Any other questions?
Can we,
Oh.
can we get an updated neighborhood list for each district representative? Populated with the latest information of presidents and executive board members?
We can, and we do, sometimes our list seems to be outdated, but we make an effort to reach out and ask for new officers, and we don't always get that
I know,
timely, but yes, we can get you a list.
yeah, please send that out to us as quickly as possible.
And I would suggest too that we have a regular procedure, and that's what I was just talking to Miss Kilgore about, because, and I do know that I don't know if maybe we need to use a different format, because there are updates that we send that don't make it to the main list sometimes. I've sent a couple of updates and it's not.
And the list hadn't been updated, okay.
Yeah, so, and maybe proactively trying to get updated information would be helpful. Maybe once a year, once or twice a year.
Okay.
I don't have anything else. Thank you, Will, for that. Anybody else have anything? Do I need a motion to adjourn, or can I just adjourn? All right, with no other matters to be discussed, this meeting is adjourned. Oh, wait, hold on. Mr. Bailey, did you have any questions in follow-up to your orientation today?
Take my muzzle off now? No questions.
Anything not
No
clear?
questions.
Okay.
Dr. Mason.
This meeting is adjourned. No other issues.
Awesome.
Thank y'all.
I'll see.